The email came at 4:52 p.m. on a Friday. Subject line, termination notice. I read it twice, slowly, like tasting poison on my tongue. Effective immediately, your services are no longer required. Please vacate your office by end of day. No signature, no empathy. Just policy and punctuation. Across the hall, I could hear laughter, hers, my wife, my newly appointed CEO of Whitestone Dynamics, my late father-in-law's empire, the same empire I quietly owned 71% of. I closed my laptop, straightened my tie, and smiled. Friday was theirs. Monday would be mine. When I first met Claire, she was sunlight, warm, disarming. The kind of woman who made you believe ambition could be soft-spoken and love could coexist with hunger. We met at a shareholder event 6 years ago. Her father, Richard Hale, the legendary CEO, had just given one of his sermons about integrity in leadership. She laughed at his hypocrisy over champagne, and that laugh hooked me. I thought she saw through power. Turns out, she only wanted to hold it. We married within a year. I was the quiet strategist, the numbers guy her father respected. He took me under his wing, called me son, said he wished he'd had a mind like mine. What he didn't know was I was already studying him, his board, his bylaws, his succession plans. I never trusted charisma without a ledger. Richard's heart attack came on a Thursday morning. The markets dipped that same afternoon. By Friday, Claire was wearing black and practicing her eulogy in the mirror. Her voice didn't crack once. At the funeral, I stood beside her as condolences poured in. She looked like grief sculpted from marble. Her hand squeezed mine for the cameras, but her eyes were elsewhere, already in the boardroom. A week later, the board named her CEO. I didn't object. I didn't remind her, or anyone, that I'd purchased Richard's private shares months earlier through a shell trust. That 71% stake made me not just her husband, but her silent majority owner. Let her have her throne, I thought. It would be poetic when it crumbled under her. The signs came fast. Late meetings, whispered phone calls, a sudden coldness in bed. I recognized the look, not of guilt, but calculation. Then came the betrayal, a confidential memo accidentally forwarded to me. My position as COO was being dissolved. Redundant under new leadership, they called it. The vote was unanimous. Claire had signed off without hesitation. That was the night I stopped loving her and started planning. Revenge isn't rage, it's rhythm. I moved in silence. First, I confirmed my control. The trust that held the 71% stake was airtight. Richard's own lawyer had helped draft it, never realizing who'd funded it. My name wasn't anywhere. My power was everywhere. Then I let them proceed. The restructuring, the press announcement, the public humiliation. I even smiled when security escorted me out that Friday. Claire avoided eye contact, cowardice wearing Dior. She thought she'd won. I thought she looked beautiful in ignorance. That weekend, I worked from my home office, the same one she once decorated to feel warmer. The irony wasn't lost on me as I drafted the documents that would turn her warmth to ash. By Monday morning, Whitestone's boardroom was chaos. I didn't attend in person. I didn't need to. My attorney did. He handed them the ownership disclosure and voting directive, the legal equivalent of a guillotine. The board members shifted uncomfortably as they realized the truth. The man they'd fired was the company. Claire's voice, I'm told, broke for the first time. What do you mean he owns the majority? My lawyer slid the papers across the table. Mr. Hale's private shares were transferred prior to his passing. Controlling interest sits with Mr. Whitestone. Her face drained, they said, like watching royalty learn they were a servant all along. I didn't demand her resignation. That would have been too merciful. I just let the numbers speak. Overnight, I restructured the board. Her allies were out. My people were in. By Tuesday, her authority existed only on letterhead. By Wednesday, she tendered her resignation for personal reasons. I signed it quietly, with the same pen she'd used to fire me. Poetic symmetry, I suppose. When I walked back into Whitestone that Thursday, every eye turned. Some with pity, some with fear. I preferred the fear. My office door still bore my nameplate. Someone had forgotten to take it down. Or maybe, deep down, they knew it would return. I sat in her old chair for a moment, still warm, still scented with her perfume. I stared at the city skyline and thought about everything it took to get here. Love, trust, betrayal. All just transactions. People think revenge ends when the other person loses. It doesn't. It ends when you stop caring. When the noise fades and you can finally hear yourself breathe again.